Hey everyone! Welcome back to another week here on Abarso ASAP. I am so excited to talk to you guys today about reading comprehension and active reading. So today we, like me and all of you guys, are going to practice reading a paragraph and answering questions. We are also going to really focus on active reading, okay? Why are we doing this? I know you're probably thinking, but there's so many more important things we need to learn to be better at English. Well, literacy is a big part of English language learning, and you have a diagnostic test at the beginning of the academic year, and reading comprehension will be on it, okay? So unless you can read and answer questions well, you are going to struggle with your diagnostic tests, okay? You need to practice at home. You need to practice with me now, and you need to take time after this video to practice so you can pass your diagnostic test. So, we are going to do some active reading today, go over a paragraph, answer some questions, okay? So, first of all, what is active reading? Well, we've actually talked about this in class quite a bit, okay? Active reading is not just reading like, no. Active reading is when we pay attention and remember information as we read, okay? So in class, we put our finger on our nose and then we start reading. We often use pens or pencils to underline important parts of our stories or our paragraphs. Today, we're going to go over some tips and tricks to help you actively read and practice those with a great paragraph. Let's talk about some easy ways to practice active reading, okay? The first tip I'm going to give you, which we're going to do together today, is to read the questions before you read the paragraph so you know what you were looking for, okay? If a teacher gives you a paragraph and then a group of questions to answer below, you are better off looking at the questions first, just like we do in class, and then going back and reading the paragraph so you know exactly what you were looking for. You also, and I have said this 100,000 times, I'm sure you're sick of me saying this, you also need to follow along with your pen, pencil, or finger while you read, okay? Otherwise, you'll lose track of where you are, and then you'll end up wasting time when you could be figuring out the correct answer. If you can, and I know it's hard with a computer screen, but we do this in class, if you can, you need to underline or make notes about the most important part of the paragraph, okay? So you're using your pen or pencil and you're always actively circling or underlining or writing question marks, okay? That is called annotating, and it's the best way to actively read to show your mind and your teacher that you are engaged in what you are doing, okay? So before we start our practice today, let's look at our questions. What was Stanley helping Zero learn how to do? What evidence, right here, specific information, can you find in the text to support your answer? Now, this question probably doesn't make sense to you, right? Who is Stanley? Who is Zero? What are they even doing? Well, you'll find out more information about this when we read our paragraph, but right now, I just want you to take this question, what was Stanley helping Zero learn how to do? I want you to take this and stick it in the back of your brain, okay? And then you'll remember it as we start to read. What is Zero helping Stanley do? Okay? What evidence can you find in the text to support your answer? Why do you think Stanley is angry? What evidence or specific information can you find in the text to support your answer? So now Stanley and Zero are going to make a little more sense, okay? Let's practice. We are going to use a paragraph from one of my favorite books to teach, which is Holes by Louis Satcher, okay? I'm going to help you out with who some of the characters are so you have a little bit of context before we dive right in. Reminder, our main characters, there are two. So here's the first character, Stanley, and here's the second character, Zero, okay? And they are very good friends with each other, and they work at a camp where they have to dig holes. So even with that little bit of information, you are going to be able to learn more information and figure out more information from the paragraph we're going to read together right now. All right, we're going to do this together, okay? We are going to practice reading a paragraph and then answering questions. I'm going to read this paragraph out loud to you. Then I want you to pause this video so you have the paragraph in front of you and you can read it again on your own, just like we do in class, okay? Then we're going to answer some of the questions that we talked about at the beginning of the video, and we're going to talk about how we can find answers to questions in our paragraph, okay? But step one, I'm just going to read this paragraph. Stanley angrily dug his shovel into the dirt. He was angry at everyone. Mr. Pendanski, the warden, Zigzag, X-Ray, and his no good, dirty, rotten, pig-stealing great-great-great-grandfather. But mostly, he was angry at himself. He knew he never should have let Zero dig part of his hole for him. He could still have taught him to read. If Zero could dig all day and still have the strength to learn, then he should have been able to dig all day and still have the strength to teach. A lot of emotions and anger in this paragraph, okay? So I want you to pause this video right now. Go ahead and read the paragraph for yourself, and then we're going to talk about the questions together. All right, let's go over the questions. We're going to do this together, okay? So, what was Stanley helping Zero learn how to do? And what evidence can you find in the text to support your answer? Let's look back at our paragraph. Okay. What did Stanley help Zero learn how to do? Okay. Well, this part of the paragraph is all about who Stanley is angry at. So I don't know if we can find the answer there, but we can look at this second part of our paragraph. Let's read it, okay? He knew he never should have let Zero dig part of his hole for him. He still could have taught him to read. Ding, 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 jackpot. He still could have taught him to read. We know in this case he is Stanley, okay? So Stanley still could have taught Zero, this him, to read, okay? So our evidence for the fact that Stanley is teaching Zero to read is right here in our paragraph. The author, Louis Satcher, gives us a really good clue right here. He still could have taught him to read, okay? We know exactly what Stanley is doing for Zero because the author is telling us right in the paragraph, okay? Now, when it says what evidence can you find in the text to support your answer, you could copy this quote, just like we do in class. When I say, give me some evidence, you could use this quote as your evidence. He still could have taught him to read, okay? Nice, great job. Let's do number 2 together. Now, what is Zero helping Stanley do, okay? We know Stanley is helping Zero learn how to read. What is Zero doing for Stanley? Let's look back at our text. So, if Zero could dig all day and still have the strength to learn, then he should have been able to dig all day and still have the strength to teach. So it sounds like Zero is digging all day, but why? He only has to dig one hole. Let's look at another part of the paragraph for our answer. He knew he never should have let Zero dig part of his hole for him. Ding, 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 jackpot, okay? Who is this he? This he is our main character, Stanley. So Stanley knew he never should have let Zero dig part of his hole for him. So it sounds like from this paragraph that Zero is helping Stanley by digging part of his hole for him, okay? So Stanley is teaching Zero how to read, and Zero is digging part of his hole for him. Our evidence, the reason that we know this answer, is right here in this quote. He knew he never should have let Zero dig part of his hole for him. This quote is our evidence that supports our answer, okay? So, if I asked you that on a test or quiz, you could say, this quote supports our answer because this is specific evidence from the text, all right? Great job. Let's look at the last question. Why do you think Stanley is angry? Why is this boy so angry? Okay, of course, we need to go back into our paragraph to look and understand why Stanley is angry. So let's go back. Okay, well, this second part of the paragraph is mostly about Stanley digging his hole. But let's try in the first part of the paragraph, okay? Stanley angrily dug his shovel into the dirt. He was angry at everyone, Mr. Pendanski, the warden, Zigzag, blah, 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 but mostly he was angry at himself, okay? So we still understand that Stanley is angry. Why is he so angry, though? What is the point of his anger? He knew he never should have let Zero dig part of his hole for him. So, big confession. We find out that Stanley is angry at himself, and he's realizing it's because he never should have let Zero dig part of his hole for him, okay? So we learn from this part of the paragraph, from this top part and from this bottom part, that Stanley is angry at himself because Zero was digging part of his hole for him or helping him, okay? Our evidence to support that is right here in our text. That was a lot. Great job. Okay, we answered 3 really important reading comprehension questions. And now we're going to talk about our last and typically very important question. Okay, so what is theme? A review. Now, 7 green and 7 red, we have done theme in class. We talked about it in many different ways, but I just want to review really quickly. Okay, so who can tell me with the quiet raised? Oh, just kidding. Okay, but theme, you know this. It's the most important idea in a paragraph or a story, okay? And you also know that there can be more than one theme in a piece of writing. You can have 5 or 6 different themes. When we read The Wizard of Oz, we had 4 really important themes, okay? So there can be many different themes in writing, okay? Some common themes we have are bravery, friendship, love, death. There's many different themes out there. The more you read and the higher up you go in your English classes, the more you'll learn about theme, okay? So let's try to think about what the theme of our paragraph about Stanley and Zero could be. So, what do you think the theme of this paragraph is? Why? I want you to write 3 or 4 sentences explaining your answer, okay? You can pause the video and write your 3 or 4 sentences about what you think the theme is. If you forget the paragraph, you can rewind the video to where the paragraph is, and the paragraph will also be in Google Classroom, okay? So what is the theme of this paragraph and why? Ready, set, write. All right, have you finished writing about the theme? Let's review for a little bit, okay? And then do a big review of everything we've talked about. So, I don't want to write your paragraph for you. I know you're all smart enough to write 3 to 4 sentences about what you think the theme could be, okay? But there are some answers that will be a little bit better than others, okay? So the theme of this paragraph could be anger, frustration. You know, Stanley's so angry, he's so mad at himself, he's so mad at the world. It could also be friendship, right? Because Zero is his very close friend, and he wants to make sure that his friend can learn how to read. There could be other right answers. These are the 3 big answers: anger, frustration, and friendship, that jump out to me, okay? But remember, in English, you can oftentimes have many right answers. That's why people like me prefer it to like math, okay? So look down at what you wrote, review right now what you wrote, make sure that what you wrote talks about the theme and what you think the theme is and why, all right? And then we're going to review the rest of what we talked about today. All right, let's review some of our strategies that we learned today for active reading and answering comprehension questions. Number 1, read the questions before you read the paragraph, okay? We did this together. I'm going to put an assignment on Google Classroom for you. I want you to go through and read the questions before you read the paragraph. Capiche? Capiche, okay? Read the questions first so they're always in the back of your mind before you start to read what you're supposed to be reading. Number 2, follow along with your pen, pencil, or finger while you are reading. Okay, I know it can be kind of hard with a computer screen. If you're doing this on a smartphone, you could actually physically touch your phone screen. If you're doing it on a computer screen, you could follow along as well, okay? Just make sure you are not just being distracted or messing up the lines, the order which you're reading things. So that's where following along with a finger or a pen really helps, okay? And lastly, underline or make notes about the most important part of the paragraph. Now, I know this is hard if you're doing it on a computer or a phone because you don't want to write on your phone, but what you can do is keep a notebook right next to you and write down notes as you're reading, like, Stanley, angry, 0, digging holes, okay? That way it'll be easier for you to remember the most important information and you will know exactly what you're looking for as you answer the questions, okay? So, great job today. I hoped you enjoyed this video with some tips and tricks to help you read better and read more actively. Now I want you to log on to Google Classroom. There's an assignment for you with a paragraph and reading comprehension questions that includes identifying the theme. So go onto Google Classroom, start practicing, okay? If you've done all the work in Google Classroom and it's easy for you, make sure you're using the work that we've given you in packets. You can also go online and find other English practice problems and things like that. If you have questions or you just want some extra help or you want to chat, feel free to email me. And yeah, I'm looking forward to hearing from you guys. Great job today and keep going.